welcome to how I made my stop motion puppet. This is going to be a quick little video with just the pictures that I took while I was making the puppet, just to kind of give you an overview of what I did. Again, I am not a professional. This was the first time I ever tried to do this, so anyone who has made them and can point out what I did wrong, I understand, and more than welcome to comment and let me know. But this is, I just woke up one Sunday morning and had the idea that I wanted to make a stop motion puppet and had some materials laying around the house, and so this is what I did. The first thing I did was I took a large piece of paper, and I knew I wanted her large, so I think her average height is probably around 18 inches fully done. So I sketched that out on my paper, and then I went back and I got my armature wire and just followed the outline of the sketch that I made. You'll see that I took some pipe cleaners and kind of, I would say, measured or located like the lower torso and the chest and the shoulder area, and just wrapped those just to secure until I went back in and put the bones on it. You also notice that I didn't put any hands on. That's a separate piece. And also notice the feet. The feet are done this way in order to capture or secure a nut in the toe. And the nut is then secured with clay and glue and things so that when you want to stand her up to animate her, the nut will actually lay on top of a screw into your animation table so that you can secure her so she won't fall over and, you know, maybe she wants to stand on one leg, I don't know. But that's why the feet are done that way. And here you see that I have gone ahead and started putting the bones. I call it bones. It's just polymer clay. And I put it everywhere that the puppet will not move. So the chest, the torso, thighs, shins, upper arms, forearms, like that. You'll also see that in this picture that I started adding the fingers. The fingers are done with one piece of pipe cleaner. And I made all 5 fingers out of the one pipe cleaner, and with the rest of the pipe cleaner I wrapped it around the wrist area. Then I'll go back over and then add more polymer clay to secure that and give it a bone. So that's what I did. And then I went back in and secured the pipe cleaner fingers on the hand with more polymer clay so that it wouldn't move around. You'll also see that I started putting a piece of foam on just to get an idea of her head and the shape that I wanted her head. And that head piece is just one piece of foam that I took a steak knife and just basically drilled, if you will, right through the center of it, just enough to get the wire in there. And it came up to about her forehead, I would think. Here she is, covered in foam. And what I did for the arms and the torso and the legs is just wasn't precise, just cut some shapes and sandwiched the wire, the armature wire, in between these foam pieces. I laid the wire on top of the back of the foam pieces and put glue on it. And I just used Aleene's tacky glue. You get that in the gold bottles. You can get that at any craft store. And when I put the glue on the foam, I let it air dry just a little bit. Letting the air get to the glue makes it even more tacky so that whatever you put on top of it will catch quicker and hold faster. So that's what I did. And then to let the glue dry, I just secured the foam with some extra pipe cleaners just to kind of hold it together there. And you can see on the bottom there too, I have the screws in her feet. So that would be for the animation process. And here she is, getting a little bit more alive. And what I did here is I took long pieces of felt in about 1/2 inch to 5/8 inch strips, and then just completely wrapped her mummy style in this felt. And it gave her more strength, and it kept the foam from pushing in, so that when you animate her, you don't have like finger indentation. So she's fairly stiff. So I was pretty pleased with that. Again, I know that's probably not the correct way, but that's what I did that Sunday morning, and this is how it is. So you'll also see that I started adding her eyes, and I did the eyes exactly the same way as I did the bones on her, and that's just white polymer clay. I made 2 little white polymer clay balls and used the tip of a ballpoint pen for her pupils. I just stuck it in there, and the reason I did that is that I can go back in with a tool, and that will allow me to move her eyes when I animate her eyes. I also took the diameter of the eyes and basically cut a half round shape out of the back or out of her face for eye sockets so that I can rest those eyes inside that foam. And they kind of grab, and that way I can move them very easily until I get her eyelids on. And here's her little face. Breaking out the Aleene's tacky glue again, we covered the eye. There's no we, I did it. I covered the foam with the tacky glue, used a little paintbrush, and then again let it get some air for a little bit to make it even more tacky. Then I covered the entire thing with fleece, just a square of fleece that I had laying around. Her eyelids are also fleece. Those are just little bitty strips, two, one for the top, one for the bottom of each eye, and I just sewed around to capture the eyeball in there. So those eyeballs are not glued in, they are just laying there, but they're held with the socket in the back of the foam, and then the eyelids are securing it so that if she were to look forward, the eyes will not fall out. And then I just went back in and used some pastel chalks and gave her a little blush and a little bit more life, if you will. And here's her hair. Her hair is made out of just one skein of yarn. You can use whatever you want. I just happened to have this one lying around the house. And it's basically just, I took a large book, probably again about 18 inches tall, and just wrapped it. Just completely wrapped the whole book in it. And saved a little bit of piece. And then I took one end of the book and run a piece to gather it, basically. I don't know how else to say it. And just tie it in a knot so it would secure it. On the opposite end of what I just secured, I cut it so that when I opened it up, I had a very long piece of hair, basically. And then where I secured it, then I sewed it to the top of her head and then glued the rest of it. I used a lot of glue in this project. So her hair is glued on the sides and all over the back. And there's another picture of her. This is where I was testing to make sure that her head wasn't too big to keep her balance. So we did some sitting down shots, and it was okay. I think her hair is too long on either side, and it would make animation a little bit tough, so we took care of that, and you'll see that in later pictures. But overall, the wrapping that I did with the felt actually made her body a little heavier, so it all worked out because there's nothing in her head. The yarn is the heaviest part of her head. And a little bit bigger shot. You can see I started moving her eyeballs around a little bit. And you can also see her hair is way too big. And here is where I'm starting to work on her outfit. The painting next to her is what I did a few months ago. And I wanted to kind of copy that outfit, so that's why it's laying next to her. And the outfit, there's no pattern. This is Project Runway 101. And I just laid the felt on her and just started making her outfit that way. It took a while. The sleeves were a bugger, but we got it. We made it. And then here you go. This is the finished coat. We put little pearl buttons on it. I gave her a nice wide collar, and that would cover up any variation between the felt of her body wrap and the fleece from the neck that covers it, just in case it moved. You can also see that I went ahead and shortened the length of her hair. She only has one bun on each side now instead of two little buns on each side. And that is it. We posted it on Vine, and that's what the video was that I posted, was my Vine video. And you'll see here who liked it. Warren Ellis. Anybody who's familiar with comic books knows more than enough who Warren Ellis is. And he's one of my faves. So yes, that made my day that he likes my post. And that's it. And that's how I made my first stop motion puppet. I hope you enjoyed. Leave me some comments if you've made your own puppet. Leave some comments on the bottom. Let me see what you've done, and I'm looking forward to it. Haven't really animated anymore with her, but I hope to in the future. So yeah, looking forward to it. Thumbs up the video, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.